Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are at the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and they have reported, and I'm sure that you've already heard about this, that the latest numbers for CPI, Consumer Price Index, or CPI, is negative 0.1. Now this says that inflation has peaked, but I want to show you, ladies and gentlemen, that it has not peaked, and inflation only has one way to go, and that is up. So prepare now at today's prices, because in a month, 2 months, 6 months, next year, prices are going to be a lot higher than they are now. Let me show you the numbers as they really stand, and how this here, negative 0.1%, is a total lie that they want you to think. Now these are the real numbers, ladies and gentlemen, and you can see that these here that are highlighted in red are the ones that fell negative, and these are the ones that are going to actually reverse, and I'm going to tell you why they're going to reverse here. But let's go ahead and talk about the numbers individually. So for all foods, it went up 0.3% for a year over year of 10.4%. Food at home went up 0.2%. Food away from home went up 0.4%. But look at food at home year over year. It's 11.8% higher than it was last year. And this is their numbers. I don't even know if they have eggs in this number here. I mean, do you think they have eggs in this number? Do you think they have butter in this number? I don't know. But I think it's a little more than 11.8% if you look at the bill that you had from 1 year ago to the bills that you have today or last December. Right? Now, let's talk about energy. Energy cumulatively has gone down negative 4.5%, excuse me. All right, but still year over year is 7.3% higher than what it was last year. All items less food and energy, 0.3% went up. New vehicles went down 0.3%, and that is what I call demand destruction. People aren't buying new vehicles because they're so expensive that they can't afford them. So it went down a little bit. Let's see, used cars went down 0.1%, same reason. People can't afford to buy clothes, so clothes are going down in price. This is called demand destruction. You don't need these things right here to live. Medical care went up, you need that. Medical care commodities went up, and look at this, 2.9% year over year, 3.2% year over year. All right, services less energy service, 0.5%. Shelter went up 0.8%, year over year 7.5%. Transportation services went up 0.2%, year over year almost 15%. Medical care services went up 0.1%, year over year 4.1%. So what is it really that went down? Energy, okay, gas, oil. Those are the things that went down pretty much, and those things that people just don't need to live. All of the things that people need to live, they went up pretty much. And let me tell you right now why it is that this energy is going to go up and that inflation hasn't peaked. Take a look at this. So why is it that you think that gasoline and oil and things like that have been going down for the last few months? Well, this chart tells you right here. It's because we've been draining our strategic petroleum reserves. And you can see that it is at the lowest point that it's ever been. 371 million barrels, and normally it sits at about 650 or so, roughly 650 or so is what it normally sits at. And of course it has a capacity of 750 million barrels. Well, ladies and gentlemen, now that they're not draining from the SPR, you've seen in the last few weeks that gas is starting to get a little more expensive. I've noticed that heating oil has started to go back up as well. And unless they keep draining this SPR, this energy, heating oil, gasoline, propane, even natural gas is going to be going back up. Why? Because the plant that we had in Texas that had a fire here several months back, I do believe that they've repaired that and they are now exporting natural gas again. So energy is going to go back up. And inflation is going to continue to go up. So don't be fooled by the numbers that they want you to concentrate at. Take a look at all of the numbers together. I'm going to stand by that. By the end of this year, we're going to see food prices double. And I hope that I'm 100% wrong. I really do. I hope that food prices fall. by the end of this year. But they're going to double, ladies and gentlemen, if not close to double. Why? Because energy is going to start going back up. Imagine if the government actually did the responsible thing and started filling this SPR back up to its normal levels, meaning taking 350 or so million barrels of oil out of the market so that they can put it back into our strategic petroleum reserves. That would also put a lot of pressure on the price of oil on the upward position as well. The government is still spending like a drunken sailor. Yes, we've reached the debt limit, but how many of you really think that that debt limit isn't going to go higher? That they're not going to pass a law saying, okay, we'll do a continuing resolution, or we'll just go ahead and increase the debt limit another trillion, or whatever political act they need to do in order to think that they're ahead of the other side, all that kind of stuff, right? The debt limit is going to go up, and if it doesn't, I think it would be a great thing, because it would demonstrate to the American people that we don't need to keep borrowing, and that the borrowing that they're doing right now and that they have been doing is borrowing that they're using for mischievous purposes, I would say, for nefarious purposes, for reasons that they don't need to borrow money, like giving it to other countries. And having said that, all of the money that they've created in the last couple of years, I think in the last 3 years, the United States government has created about 30 to 40% of all of the fiat currency that's ever existed here in the United States since our inception, since we became the United States of America, or these United States of America. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that money is not out in the economy yet. That money is sitting in a lot of vaults, a lot of banks, a lot of stocks, etc., etc. And when it starts being liquidated and actually being used to purchase goods, the economy is going to discover that there's more money competing for the same amount of goods, because we really don't produce very much here in the United States. And that in itself is going to cause the rise in the price of things. So inflation has not stopped. Make sure that you're stocking up. Take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Gas prices set to soar as crack spread jumps on tightening fuel supplies. Now, the 3-2-1 crack spread, as they call it, is just a way that they measure how tight the fuel supply is. And the bigger the spread, the higher that it is, the tighter that the supply is. So if you take a look at here, this chart here shows that on Tuesday it was $42 a barrel. And for some context, the 5-year January average is only $15. So it's almost 3 times as much as its average, which means that fuel prices, as they've been rising over the last few weeks, they're going to continue to rise, ladies and gentlemen. And like I said, if they decide to start filling up the SPR, that's just going to take more oil out of the market, making it more expensive. And taking a look at this article right here, your living standards have declined dramatically, and they're going to continue to decline. What's the definition of your living standards? This is my definition. Your living standard, ladies and gentlemen, is what you are able to produce. So if you can produce by your work, by your labor, let's say $1,000 a month, your living standard is based on what $1,000 a month can offer you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so it doesn't necessarily mean how much you make, but how much you make comparatively to what it is that you need to purchase in order to live that living standard. And right here it says, everyone knows about the egg problem, which is being chalked up to a bird flu. Just as the president of Russia was responsible for the gas price, and greedy meat processors caused beef prices to soar. Right? These are all of the stories that we've been told. We haven't been told about all of the liquidity that was pushed into the market, having there be a lot more fiat currency in the market with less things to buy, making those things go up. But we've been told all of these excuses. The price of eggs is up dramatically because all of the costs associated with making them available to consumers are up. And ladies and gentlemen, that's something that is called input costs. Now, as you've seen what I showed you about gasoline, about heating oil, about oil itself, as that continues to rise, the price of everything else will go up with it. Now, ask yourself, have prices stabilized, or have prices gone back down to the levels that they were 2 years ago? No, they haven't. And now when price of energy starts to rise again, prices are going to go even higher from where they are now. So the CPI is definitely a lie in terms of that they show you what they want you to see. But what they don't want you to know is that the price of everything is going to continue to go up. Maybe we've had a bit of a respite where prices have leveled down, where inflation has leveled down, but it's going to go back up from where we are now, not from where we were 2 or 3 years ago. So continue to prepare, ladies and gentlemen. The best thing that you can do, in my opinion, is make sure to have a full pantry. Make sure that you have all of those things that you need in order to sustain your standard of living for months or even a year or more if you can, in case things get out of control. And remember that being prepared is not an end-all be-all. You have to have a plan for after your stuff runs out. If we have some kind of a crisis where you're just not going to be able to get the things that you need for everyday use. So make sure that you have a plan. What am I going to do after I run out of food? After I run out of fuel? Have a plan for that. Being prepared is just a buffer that gives you time to think, and you don't have to act irrationally because you just don't have what you need. Having said that, I want to wish you a good day. Thank you very much for joining in, ladies and gentlemen. Remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Many blessings to all of you and your families. I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out.